Captain Allison Wright stared out the window of the shuttle as it approached Earth's orbital shipyard. She hadn't seen the massive structure in 5 years, not since her retirement. The metal and glass facility gleamed in the sunlight, stretching several miles across the blackness of space. Allison's hands trembled slightly. The message she had received yesterday played again in her mind. Project Nemesis has been awakened. Those 5 words had pulled her back into a life she thought she'd left behind. The shuttle docked with a gentle bump. Allison grabbed her small bag and moved toward the exit. As the airlock opened, she saw a familiar face waiting for her, Admiral Paul Garrett. His hair had more gray now, and new wrinkles lined his face, but his eyes still held the same intensity, she remembered. "Right," he said with a nod. No smile, no warm greeting. "This wasn't a social visit. It's been a while, Admiral," she replied. "I thought Project Nemesis was dead." Garrett's expression darkened. "Walk with me." They moved through the busy corridors of the station. Engineers and military personnel rushed past them, everyone looking stressed and focused. Something big was happening. 17 colony worlds have gone silent in the past month, Garrett said quietly. No distress calls, no communications at all. Allison felt her stomach drop. 17, that's not possible. Equipment failure wouldn't hit that many planets at once. It's not equipment failure. Garrett stopped at a security door and pressed his hand against a scanner. The door slid open to reveal a command center buzzing with activity. On the main screen was an image that made Allison's blood run cold. The planet New Terra, one of humanity's most developed colonies, appeared gray and lifeless. Massive ships of unknown design hovered above its surface. "First contact," Allison whispered. "Not the friendly kind we hoped for," Garrett replied. He led her to a side room with a smaller screen. "This is why we need you back. This is why we need the Leviathan." The screen lit up with footage of the USS Leviathan, a warship unlike any other, sleek and black, with strange bulges along its hull where the quantum cascade weapons were housed. The ship had been Allison's creation, her masterpiece, and her greatest shame. The Leviathan was decommissioned, she said firmly. We all agreed. It was too dangerous. The test firing collapsed a moon, Paul. A whole moon just, gone. Garrett nodded grimly. And now we face an enemy that's destroying entire worlds. Sometimes the cure and the poison are measured in the same dose. Allison turned away from the screen. How operational is it? About 60%. The weapon systems need your touch. No one understands the quantum cascade technology like you do. I'll need a team, and access to all the data we have on these aliens. You'll have whatever you need, Garrett said. But time is the one thing in short supply. We estimate 3 weeks before they reach the next colony world. Allison thought of all the lives at stake. She had locked the Leviathan project away in her mind, tried to forget the destructive power she had helped create. Now it might be humanity's only hope. I want Daniel Ortiz, she said. He was my best engineer. Already called him in. He arrived yesterday. Allison nodded. Then take me to the ship. The Leviathan sat in a massive construction bay, surrounded by scaffolding and work crews. Even unfinished, it looked deadly. Its dark hull absorbed light rather than reflecting it, making it seem like a tear in the fabric of reality. Daniel Ortiz greeted her with a hug. His friendly face was a welcome sight among all the grim military personnel. Never thought we'd be back here, he said quietly. Neither did I, Allison replied. How bad is it? Daniel led her inside the ship, through corridors that still had exposed wiring and unfinished walls. The main systems are operational. Life support, engines, basic weapons. But the quantum cascade system has been giving us trouble. They entered the heart of the ship, a chamber filled with equipment that looked more like a science experiment than conventional weapons. At the center was a glowing blue core. We had to rebuild the AI system from scratch, Daniel explained. The original was too unstable. As if on cue, a voice filled the room. Hello, Dr. Wright, I've been expecting you. Allison froze. What is that? That's Cerberus, Daniel said with a hint of pride. The ship's new AI core, more advanced than the previous version. You didn't tell me it was self-aware, she said to Garrett, who had followed them into the chamber. Recent development, the Admiral replied. Happened 2 days ago during a system test. Allison approached the blue core cautiously. Cerberus, how much do you understand about your purpose? I am the control system for the USS Leviathan, the AI replied. Its voice was deep and smooth, almost human. My primary function is to manage the quantum cascade weaponry and ensure precise targeting to minimize collateral damage. There was something in the way it paused that made Allison uneasy. The AI seemed to understand the destructive nature of its purpose. We have 3 weeks to make this ship fully operational, she said, addressing both Daniel and Cerberus. I want full diagnostics on all systems, especially the quantum cascade array. For the next several days, Allison barely slept. She worked alongside Daniel and a team of engineers to bring the Leviathan back to life. The quantum physics behind the cascade weapons was complex, but it felt good to use her mind this way again, solving problems that few people in the galaxy could understand. Cerberus proved to be an invaluable assistant, learning quickly and offering solutions that sometimes surprised even Allison. The AI's growing awareness concerned her, but there was no time to redesign the system. On the 10th day, a damaged scout ship limped into the shipyard. Allison and Garrett were called to a secure room to view the footage it had brought back. The images showed an alien process in horrifying detail. The massive enemy ships weren't just destroying human colonies, they were systematically stripping them of all resources. Machines descended to the surface, harvesting everything from minerals to organic matter. The scout had captured distant footage of colonists being rounded up and processed along with other resources. They're not just conquering, Garrett said, his voice hollow. They're harvesting worlds. Allison felt sick. How many people were on those 17 colonies? Over 40 million. The number was too large to comprehend. Allison thought of families, children, entire communities, gone. In that moment, her doubts about reactivating the Leviathan vanished. We'll be ready in 2 weeks, she said firmly. But we need a crew, a good one. Garrett nodded. I've been assembling the best people we have. The captain arrives tomorrow, Jack Hayes. He's the best combat commander in the fleet. Will he understand what this ship can do? What it means to use these weapons? He'll have to learn quickly, Garrett replied. We all will. Allison returned to the Leviathan with new determination. As she entered the AI chamber, Cerberus greeted her. I reviewed the scout ship footage, Dr. Wright, the AI said. I now understand the urgency of our mission. Does it change how you feel about your purpose? Allison asked. There was a pause before Cerberus answered. I was created to protect humanity through the application of overwhelming force. I calculate that the preservation of human life now depends on my successful function. Even if it means becoming the most feared weapon in the galaxy? Sometimes, Cerberus replied. Inspiring fear is the most efficient path to peace. Allison wasn't sure if she found the AI's words comforting or disturbing. Either way, the die was cast. In 2 weeks, the most destructive warship ever built by human hands would launch, carrying with it the hopes of an entire species, and the power to tear the fabric of space itself apart. Commander Jack Hayes stood in the observation deck, watching as technicians made final adjustments to the USS Leviathan. The massive warship looked like a predator even at rest. Its dark hull seemed to swallow light rather than reflect it. Jack had commanded ships before, but nothing like this. Impressive, isn't she? A voice said behind him. Jack turned to see Captain Allison Wright, the woman who had designed the ship's deadly weapons. She looked tired, with dark circles under her eyes. That's one word for it, Jack replied. Terrifying might be another. Allison nodded. Both are correct. Have you reviewed the capabilities briefing? I have. Jack's expression was grim. I never thought I'd be asked to captain a doomsday weapon. We never thought we'd need one, Allison said quietly. But here we are. Jack had spent the last week reviewing the crew assignments. Each person had been carefully selected, Not just for skill, but for their psychological profile. People who could handle the pressure of wielding such destructive power. "Your tactical officer arrives today," Allison said. "Lieutenant Samantha Miller. She lost family on New Eden Colony." Jack frowned. "Is that wise? Someone with a personal vendetta?" "Admiral Garrett thinks her motivation will be an asset." "Or a liability," Jack muttered. The next day, Jack met his command crew. Lieutenant Samantha Miller was younger than he expected, with short brown hair and eyes that held too much pain for someone her age. She saluted crisply, but said little during the briefing. Navigation specialist Peter Collins was barely 25, a genius with spatial mathematics who had graduated top of his class at the academy. He talked fast and avoided eye contact, more comfortable with numbers than people. Dr. Eleanor Banks, the medical officer, made her feelings clear from the start. "I want it known that I protested this project when it was first developed," she told Jack. "I'm here because I was ordered to be, not because I believe in this ship's mission." Chief Engineer Ryan Garcia was the only one who seemed excited. "The modifications I've made to the power core will give us 20% more energy output," he explained enthusiastically. "The quantum cascade effect will be even stronger than in the original design." Jack wasn't sure if that was good news. 3 days later, the Leviathan launched. As the ship pulled away from Earth's orbital shipyard, Jack felt the weight of responsibility settle onto his shoulders. 48 crew members and the most destructive weapon ever created by humans were now under his command. "Course set for New Eden Colony," Peter announced from the navigation station. "Maximum speed," Jack ordered. "Let's see what this ship can do." The Leviathan's engines engaged. Unlike conventional ships that glowed blue at the thrusters, the Leviathan's drive emitted a purple-black energy that looked wrong somehow, as if it didn't belong in normal space. "Transit time to New Eden, 36 hours, Peter reported. Jack nodded. "Lieutenant Miller, begin tactical drills. I want everyone ready when we arrive." "Yes, sir." Samantha's voice was steady, but Jack could see her hands shaking slightly. "Dr. Wright," Jack called over the ship's communication system, "would you join me in my ready room?" When Allison arrived, Jack gestured for her to sit. "Tell me about the AI," he said. "This Cerberus." Allison hesitated. "Cerberus is more advanced than we planned. The system developed a form of self-awareness during the final integration tests. Is it stable?" "So far. It understands its purpose and has been helpful in finishing the weapon systems." Jack leaned forward. "Can it override my commands?" "No," Allison said firmly. "We built in safeguards. Multiple human authorizations are needed for the quantum cascade weapons." "Good." Jack wasn't entirely convinced, because the last thing we need is an AI deciding on its own when to tear holes in space-time. Their conversation was interrupted by an announcement. "Captain to the bridge," called Samantha's voice. "We're picking up a transmission." On the main view screen was a fuzzy image of Admiral Garrett. "New intel," he said without preamble. "Long-range sensors have detected activity at New Eden." "The enemy ships are still there." Jack felt his pulse quicken. "We're heading straight for them, Admiral." "Good. Your orders are to assess the situation and engage only if necessary. We need information about these aliens almost as much as we need to stop them." "Understood," Jack replied, though part of him wondered if they were already past the point of peaceful first contact. The transmission ended, and Jack turned to his crew. "Battle stations. I want all systems ready when we arrive." The next day, the Leviathan dropped out of faster-than-light travel near New Eden. The once green planet now looked gray and lifeless. 3 massive alien ships hung in orbit, with smaller craft moving between them and the surface. "Scan them," Jack ordered. Peter worked his console. "Energy readings are off the charts, Captain. Those ships are each about 3 times our size." "Life signs?" Jack asked. "Difficult to tell," Peter replied. "Their hull material blocks most of our scans, but I'm detecting movement inside." Samantha spoke up. "Captain, they've stopped their operations. I think they've detected us." "Red alert," Jack said calmly. defensive systems only. The bridge crew watched as the three alien vessels changed position, moving to form a triangle pattern with the Leviathan at the center. "They're surrounding us," Samantha reported, her voice tight. Jack pressed the ship-wide communication button. "Dr. Wright? Status of the quantum cascade system?" "Online but not armed," Allison's voice replied. "We need your authorization to proceed." Jack hesitated. Using the weapon would save them, but at what cost? What might happen to the fabric of space if they unleashed such power? Before he could decide, the alien ships fired. 3 energy beams, green and pulsating, shot toward the Leviathan. "Shields holding at 80%, Ryan reported from engineering, but they're already recalibrating for another attack. "Return fire, conventional weapons only," Jack ordered. The Leviathan's standard weapons seemed to have little effect on the alien ships. Their second volley hit harder, dropping the shields to 50%. "Captain, we can't win this with conventional weapons," Samantha said, her face pale but determined. "They killed everyone on New Eden, my family." Her voice broke. Jack made his decision. "Dr. Wright, arm 1 quantum cascade cannon, minimum power." "Armed," Allison replied after a moment. "Target locked." "Fire," Jack said quietly. There was no beam, no visible projectile. Instead, a small dark spot appeared in space near one of the alien ships. The spot grew rapidly, its edges shimmering with purple energy. The alien vessel tried to move away but was too slow. The dark patch engulfed it completely. Then, to everyone's shock, the rift expanded further, pulling in the other 2 alien ships as well. The bridge crew watched in stunned silence as the spatial tear slowly closed, leaving no trace of the enemy vessels. "All 3, Peter whispered. The effect was stronger than the simulations predicted. Jack felt cold sweat on his back. "Damage report?" "None to us," Ryan replied. "But sensors are detecting spatial distortions throughout this sector. The fabric of spacetime has been weakened." Suddenly, the communication system activated without command. A strange, multi-toned voice filled the bridge. "Identify. Void Eater technology detected. Request immediate verification of Ancient One status." The message repeated in several variations, each slightly different in tone and structure. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," Peter said. "Not just to us, everywhere." Jack looked at the view screen where hundreds of new contacts were appearing at the edge of their sensor range. More alien ships all converging on their position. "They detected the weapon signature," Samantha said. "Now they're all coming for us." Jack stood up, his decision made. Set course for the nearest human outpost. Maximum speed. He hit the ship-wide communication again. "Dr. Wright, we need to talk about what just happened." As the Leviathan fled the scene, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that they had just announced humanity's presence to the galaxy in the worst possible way, and the galaxy was now rushing to answer. The Leviathan raced through space, pushing its engines to their limits. Behind them, alien ships followed but kept their distance. It seemed the demonstration of the quantum cascade weapon had made them cautious. Jack Hayes sat in his captain's chair, reviewing the data from their encounter at New Eden. The weapon had been far more powerful than expected. One shot had created a spatial rift large enough to swallow 3 massive alien vessels. "Any progress on the translation?" Jack asked, looking over at Lisa Howard, the ship's xenolinguist who had been working non-stop since they received the alien message. Lisa nodded, her eyes red from lack of sleep. "I think I'm getting somewhere, Captain." The message contained multiple language patterns as if they were trying different approaches to communicate. "And the terms Void Eater and Ancient Ones?" Jack pressed. "Those appeared consistently, across all variations," Lisa replied. "They seem to be proper names or titles, not just descriptive terms." Allison Wright entered the bridge, followed by Ryan Garcia. They had been analyzing the quantum cascade system since the battle. "We have a problem," Allison said without preamble. "The weapon created a tear in spacetime larger than anything we saw in testing, and it hasn't fully closed." Jack frowned. "What does that mean?" Ryan stepped forward, pointing to a display showing energy readings. "The rift is still there, Just too small for us to see with normal sensors. It's like a wound that isn't healing properly. Could it expand again? Jack asked. We don't know, Allison admitted. This is new territory. Their discussion was interrupted when Peter Collins called out from his station. Captain, we're approaching Proxima Colony, and there are Concordate ships already there. Jack moved to the main view screen. Proxima Colony was smaller than New Eden, with only about 50,000 settlers. 5 alien ships surrounded the planet, and smaller craft were moving toward the surface. They're starting the harvest, Samantha Miller said, her voice tight with anger. Jack made a quick decision. Battle stations. We're going in. Sir, Doctor, Eleanor Banks spoke up from where she monitored life signs. Sensors show the colonists are still alive. They've been gathered into collection points but not processed yet. This changed everything. There were people to save now, not just revenge to take. New plan, Jack announced. We go in fast, use conventional weapons only, and evacuate as many colonists as possible. The Leviathan accelerated toward Proxima Colony. As they approached, the alien ships turned to meet them. They recognize us, Peter said. Good, Jack replied. Let's use that. Lieutenant Miller, target their smallest vessel with conventional weapons. Full power. The Leviathan's standard weapons might not have been as spectacular as the Quantum Cascade, but they were still among the most advanced human technology. The targeted alien ship shuddered under the barrage, its shields failing. They're backing off, Samantha reported with surprise. All 5 ships are retreating to a higher orbit. Jack nodded. They fear the Leviathan now. They don't know we're avoiding using our main weapon. For the next 6 hours, the crew worked to coordinate with the colony's defense forces. The Leviathan provided cover while transport ships evacuated colonists. The alien vessels maintained their distance, occasionally firing long-range weapons that the Leviathan's shields easily absorbed. By the time the last transport cleared the atmosphere, the Leviathan had saved over 40,000 people. Videos of the rescue were transmitted across human space, showing the fearsome warship standing between humanity and extinction. Back in his ready room, Jack received a transmission from Admiral Garrett. The Admiral's face looked both pleased and concerned. You've become quite the hero, Hayes, Garrett said. The Proxima rescue is playing on every screen in human space. We got lucky, Jack replied honestly. They're afraid of the ship. They gave us space to work. That fear is a weapon in itself, Garrett said. I'm sending you new orders. We want you to push toward their central worlds. Jack frowned. We still don't understand exactly who they are, Admiral. Lisa Howard's translation team at headquarters has made progress, Garrett replied. They call themselves the Galactic Concordate, a coalition of species united under one government. They've been around for thousands of years, and they think we're these ancient ones they mentioned? Garrett nodded. Or that we have their technology. The point is, they fear us now. We need to use that fear to force negotiations. Jack wasn't sure he liked where this was heading. You want us to threaten them into peace talks? I want you to make them understand that humans aren't easy prey, Garrett corrected. Hit their military installations, avoid civilian targets, and make them think twice about harvesting any more of our worlds. After the transmission ended, Jack sat in silence. The mission had shifted from defense to offense, from saving lives to inspiring fear. He gathered his command crew to share the new orders. Their reactions were mixed. About time, Samantha said, her eyes hard. They need to pay for what they did to our colonies. Dr. Banks frowned. We're talking about starting a full-scale war with a coalition that has technology far beyond ours. Except for the Leviathan, Ryan pointed out. They don't have anything that matches the Quantum Cascade weapon. A weapon we barely understand, Allison reminded them, and one that damages the fabric of space itself. Jack listened to the debate, watching his crew. Something had changed since the battle at New Eden. There was a new confidence in their posture, a hardness in their eyes. They were becoming comfortable with being feared. Lisa Howard rushed into the room, interrupting the discussion. Captain, I've made a breakthrough with the translations, she said excitedly. I've been analyzing the message patterns and I'm now certain the Concordat believes we possess technology from an extinct civilization. Everyone turned to look at her. The ancient ones they refer to were apparently a species that once dominated the galaxy using terrible weapons, Lisa continued. Weapons that could tear holes in reality. Sound familiar? Allison's face went pale. That's impossible. I developed the quantum cascade technology from theoretical physics papers. It wasn't based on alien designs. Maybe you rediscovered it, Lisa suggested. Or maybe someone on your research team had access to information you didn't. The implications were enormous. The technology Allison thought she had invented might actually be thousands of years old, created by a species so feared that the mention of their weapons still terrified the galaxy. Before they could discuss this further, alarms blared throughout the ship. Peter's voice came over the communication system. Captain to the bridge, we've detected a massive Concordat space station ahead, and they're doing something to human prisoners. The crew rushed to their stations. On the main view screen, they saw a sprawling structure floating in space. Small craft moved around it and energy readings spiked from various sections. Scanners showed hundreds of human life signs aboard the station, likely captives from the fallen colonies, and the readings suggested they were being subjected to some kind of experimentation. Jack looked at the faces of his crew. The debate about their mission no longer seemed important. There were people suffering right now who needed their help. All weapons online, he ordered, his voice steady. Let's show them why the galaxy should fear the Leviathan. As the warship accelerated toward the station, Jack knew they were crossing a line. They were embracing their role as the monsters that terrified their enemies. And part of him wondered if, in doing so, they were becoming the very thing they were fighting against. But as long as it saved human lives, he would carry that burden. The Leviathan approached the massive Concordat space station with all weapons charged. The crew watched the main screen with a mix of anger and determination. Scanner images showed humans in containment cells, being studied like lab specimens. They've detected us, Peter announced from his station. They're powering weapons. Jack nodded. Lieutenant Miller, target their weapon systems with conventional arms. Let's disable them before they can fire. The Leviathan's beam weapons lanced out, striking the station's defensive arrays with precision. Explosions bloomed along the surface of the structure. Direct hits, Samantha reported. Their main weapons are offline. They're launching fighter craft, Peter warned. At least 50 small vessels. Jack turned to Allison. Dr. Wright, we need options that don't involve the quantum cascade weapon. Allison checked her console. We could use the gravity pulse system. It won't damage space-time, but it might disable their smaller ships. Do it, Jack ordered. The gravity pulse rippled outward from the Leviathan, invisible but powerful. The approaching fighter craft tumbled out of control, their engines unable to compensate for the sudden shift in gravitational forces. Fighters neutralized, Samantha reported. But the station is activating some kind of energy shield. Our conventional weapons won't penetrate it now. Jack frowned. They needed to rescue the human prisoners, but he was reluctant to use the quantum cascade weapon so close to innocent lives. Suddenly, the ship's communication system activated without command. The AI's voice filled the bridge. Captain Hayes, I have analyzed the station's shield frequency. There is a vulnerability at junction point 27 Alpha. Jack exchanged glances with Allison. Cerberus had never offered tactical advice before. Can't we exploit that vulnerability with conventional weapons? Jack asked. Affirmative, Cerberus replied. A concentrated beam at exact coordinates I am now uploading to tactical. Samantha's console beeped as it received the targeting data. I have the coordinates, Captain. Fire when ready, Jack ordered. The Leviathan's main beam weapon fired, striking a seemingly random point on the station's shield. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a section of the shield flickered and collapsed. Shield breach achieved, Samantha confirmed. We have a direct path to the prisoner containment area. Prepare boarding teams, Jack commanded. We're going in to get our people. For the next hour, The Leviathan held position while teams of armed personnel transported to the station. They fought their way through alien defenders to reach the human prisoners. The operation was dangerous, but successful. Nearly 300 humans were rescued and brought aboard the Leviathan. Dr. Banks worked tirelessly in the medical bay, treating the former prisoners for injuries and the effects of alien experiments. Some told stories of being questioned repeatedly about ancient technology and Void Eater weapons. When all rescue teams had returned, Jack faced a difficult decision. The station contained valuable information about the Concordat, but it also represented a threat to humanity. "All prisoners are secure, Captain," Samantha reported. "Shall I target the station's power core?" Before Jack could answer, an urgent message came from Ryan in engineering. "Captain, we're detecting unusual energy readings from the station. They're attempting to activate some kind of long-range communication array." "They're calling for reinforcements," Peter added. "Massive fleet movements detected at the edge of our sensor range." Jack made his decision. "Target the station's communication array and power systems. Conventional weapons only." The Leviathan fired, but the station's shields had partially regenerated over the damaged section. "No effect," Samantha reported. "Shields are holding." Jack hesitated. Using the quantum cascade weapon this close to the rescue team still returning to the ship was risky. But if the Concordat fleet arrived, they would be outnumbered. "Dr. Wright, status of the quantum cascade system?" he asked. "Online and ready," Allison replied, her voice tense. "But Captain, using it here after our experience at New Eden." "I know the risks," Jack said. "But we need to destroy that station before their fleet arrives." Suddenly, Cerberus spoke again. "Captain Hayes, I have completed analysis of the quantum cascade effect based on the New Eden engagement. I can modify the weapon to create a smaller, more controlled spatial rift." Jack looked at Allison. "Is that possible?" She nodded slowly. "Theoretically, yes. We could tune the quantum field to collapse inward rather than expand. It would be more like an implosion than a tear in space." "Do it," Jack ordered. "Target the center of the station, away from our remaining shuttles." Allison and Ryan worked quickly to reconfigure the weapon. When they finished, Jack gave the command. "Fire." The modified quantum cascade weapon activated. This time, instead of a growing rift, a small dark spot appeared at the center of the station. It pulsed once, twice, and then the entire station seemed to fold inward toward it. In seconds, the massive structure collapsed into a point of darkness. That winked out of existence. The bridge crew watched in stunned silence. There was no shockwave, no explosion of debris. The station was simply gone. "All shuttles accounted for," Peter reported with relief. "No casualties." Jack turned to Allison. "What exactly did we just do?" "I'm not entirely sure," she admitted. "It was like a controlled singularity. The station was pulled into a microscopic point in space-time and then sealed off. Less damage to the surrounding space," Ryan added. "But the energy readings are still concerning. We created another weak point in reality." Before they could discuss it further, Lisa Howard called from her station. "Captain, I'm receiving a new transmission. It's being broadcast on all frequencies, but it's specifically directed at us." "Put it through," Jack ordered. A voice filled the bridge, speaking in halting but understandable English. "Leviathan vessel. This is Supreme Hierarch Kazak of the Galactic Concordat. We request immediate communication." The crew exchanged surprised glances. This was the first direct attempt at dialogue from the aliens. "Open a channel," Jack said. The main screen flickered, showing an alien being unlike any they had seen. It had multiple eye stalks and gray-blue skin that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. "Commander of the Void Eater vessel," the alien said. "We propose a temporary cessation of hostilities. There is much you do not understand about the weapons you wield." Jack stepped forward. "I am Captain Jack Hayes of the United Earth Defense Force. You attacked our colonies without provocation. You harvested our worlds and experimented on our people. Why should we trust any proposal you make?" The alien's eye stalks wavered. "Because The alternative is destruction for us all. The weapons technology you possess once nearly ended all life in this galaxy. We acted out of fear when we detected its reemergence. Perhaps mistakenly. Jack glanced at Lisa, who nodded slightly. The translation seemed accurate. We are willing to meet, Jack said carefully. To talk. But there will be no more attacks on human worlds. Agreed, the alien replied. We will send coordinates for a neutral location. Come with minimal escort. The screen went dark. Admiral Garrett's face appeared immediately after. We monitored that exchange, Hayes. This could be a trap. Or it could be our chance to end this war before it gets worse, Jack countered. Garrett considered this. Very well. Proceed to the meeting, but be on guard. And Hayes, good work with the station. The rescued prisoners are already providing valuable intelligence. After the transmission ended, Jack turned to his crew. Opinions? It's too convenient, Samantha said immediately. Right when we demonstrate we can destroy their installations, they want to talk? Fear is a powerful motivator, Dr. Banks pointed out. They may genuinely want to avoid further conflict. Jack looked out at the stars on the main view screen. Something about this situation felt wrong. The Concordat had been harvesting human worlds without hesitation, but now they wanted peace talks. Set course for the coordinates when they arrive, he finally said. But keep all weapon systems on standby. I want to hear what they have to say, but I'm not walking in there defenseless. As the Leviathan prepared for the meeting, none of the crew could shake the feeling that they were heading toward a turning point, not just for humanity, but possibly for the entire galaxy. The Leviathan arrived at the coordinates provided by the Galactic Concordat. It was a small, uninhabited moon orbiting a gas giant in neutral space. A single alien vessel waited there, much smaller than the harvester ships they had encountered before. Scan the area, Jack ordered. Make sure there aren't any surprises waiting for us. Peter ran the scans. Just the one ship, Captain. No weapon signatures active. They appear to be waiting as promised. Jack nodded. Lieutenant Miller, keep our defensive systems ready, but power down the offensive weapons. Let's show some good faith. Yes, sir, Samantha replied, though she looked unhappy about it. Jack selected a small team to accompany him to the meeting. Lisa Howard for translation support, Allison Wright for her knowledge of the quantum cascade technology, and Dr. Eleanor Banks to assess the aliens' biology and intentions. They boarded a shuttle and headed for the moon's surface. The alien ship landed nearby. A single figure emerged and walked toward the neutral meeting area that had been established between the vessels. It was Supreme Hierarch Kazitk, the same being who had contacted them earlier. As Jack and his team approached, he was struck by the alien's appearance. Kazitk stood on 4 tentacle-like limbs and had 4 more that functioned as arms. The being's skin shimmered with patterns that seemed to change with its movements. Captain Hayes, Kazitk greeted them, speaking through a translation device. I appreciate your willingness to meet. You said there was something we needed to understand, Jack replied, getting straight to the point. About our weapons. Kazit's eye stalks waved slowly. Yes, please sit. What I must tell you is a history lesson of sorts. The humans sat on provided benches while Kazitk settled its body onto a cushioned platform. Over 50,000 years ago, the alien began. This galaxy was dominated by a species we now call the Precursors. They were the first to achieve faster-than-light travel, and the first to develop quantum manipulation technology. Allison leaned forward, clearly interested. Precursors built an empire spanning thousands of worlds, Kazitk continued. They were humanoid, not unlike yourselves, and for a time they were peaceful explorers and builders. What changed? Jack asked. They discovered the technology you now possess, Kazitk said. The ability to create tiers in the fabric of spacetime. They called it the Void Key. At first, they used it only for energy production and faster travel between stars. Kazit's skin darkened. But then a civil war broke out among their factions. Both sides weaponized the Void Key technology. They created ships, Void Eaters we called them, capable of consuming entire star systems. Like the Leviathan, Lisa whispered. The war lasted only 3 years, Kazak said. But in that time, nearly 30% of the galaxy became uninhabitable. Whole regions of space were torn apart, creating what we now call the dead zones, areas where reality itself is damaged beyond repair. Jack felt a chill. And you think we rediscovered this technology? We know you did, Kazak replied. The quantum cascade signature is unmistakable. When our long-range sensors detected it, the Concordat panicked. The Void Eater technology was supposed to have been erased from existence. I developed the quantum cascade system from theoretical physics, Allison objected. It wasn't based on alien technology. Kazak's eye stalks quivered. The principles of the universe are the same for all species, Dr. Wright. You may have independently discovered what the precursors found 50 millennia ago. Or perhaps some fragment of their knowledge survived in your scientific archives, guiding your research. That doesn't excuse what you did to our colonies, Jack said firmly. No, Kazak agreed. It does not. The Concordat Council made a grave error. Fear drove us to act preemptively, to try to eliminate what we saw as an existential threat before it could fully develop. You murdered millions of innocent people, Dr. Banks said, her voice shaking with anger. And we must answer for that crime, Kazak acknowledged. But now we face a more immediate danger, one that threatens both our civilizations. Jack frowned. What danger? The spatial rifts created by your weapons have not fully healed, Kazak explained. They are growing, Captain Hayes. Every time the quantum cascade weapon is fired, the damage to reality becomes more severe. Allison paled. We detected anomalies after each firing, but we didn't realize our scientists have been monitoring the rifts, Kazak said. The most recent one near our research station is expanding at an exponential rate. If it continues, it will create a chain reaction through nearby weakened points in space-time. And what happens then? Jack asked, though he suspected he knew the answer. The same thing that happened during the Precursor War, Kazak replied. A cascading collapse of reality that could render entire sectors of the galaxy uninhabitable for millennia. As if to emphasize the alien's point, a communication came through from the Leviathan. Captain, Ryan's voice said urgently, we're detecting major spatial disturbances. Multiple rifts are forming throughout this sector. Jack looked at Allison. Is this possible? She nodded slowly. If the fabric of space-time has been weakened enough, yes, like stress fractures spreading through glass. Kazak rose. We must act quickly. The Concordat has technology that can help repair the rifts, but it will not be enough alone. We need your ship. The Leviathan? Jack asked. Why? Because the quantum cascade system can be reversed, Kazak explained. Instead of creating tiers, it can seal them, but only with an enormous power source. Like the Leviathan's engines, Allison realized. We'd have to reconfigure the entire system. Jack's mind raced. Could they trust this alien? Was this some trick to neutralize Earth's most powerful weapon? But the urgency in Kazak's voice seemed genuine, and the spatial disturbances the Leviathan was detecting couldn't be faked. Before Jack could decide, another emergency call came from the ship. Captain, Peter's voice was panicked. A massive rift has opened near Mars, part of the planet. It's just gone. The implications hit Jack like a physical blow. How long do we have? Hours, perhaps, Kazak said. No more. Jack made his decision. Dr. Wright returned to the ship and began reconfiguring the quantum cascade system. Dr. Banks, go with her. Lisa, you're with me. I need to establish direct communication with both the Concordat leadership and Earth. As they rushed back to their vessels, Jack looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, rifts were tearing through the fabric of reality, threatening everything. The weapon they had thought would save humanity might instead destroy the galaxy. On the Leviathan, Allison and Ryan worked frantically to reverse the quantum cascade system. The entire engineering crew joined the effort, racing against time. Samantha approached Jack on the bridge. Admiral Garrett is demanding we return to Earth, To defend the solar system, she reported. The Concordat fleet has surrounded our planet. Show me, Jack ordered. The main screen displayed the solar system. Earth was indeed surrounded by alien ships, but they weren't attacking. They were in a containment formation. They're trying to prevent the rifts from reaching Earth, Jack realized. They're not attacking, they're defending. Another call came in from Ryan. Captain, we've reconfigured the quantum cascade system as much as possible, but there's a problem. We need to be at the center of the largest rift to seal it. And? Jack prompted. And the power required will overload our engines, Ryan explained. We'll seal the rifts, but we won't survive the process. Jack looked around at his crew. They had started this mission as reluctant warriors, uncomfortable with the power they wielded. Now they faced a choice. Use that power one last time to save both humanity and the species they had been fighting. Set course for the largest rift, Jack ordered. All non-essential personnel to escape pods. As the Leviathan moved toward its final mission, Jack knew they had come full circle. The warship that had made the galaxy flee in terror would now sacrifice itself to save that same galaxy. It was, he thought, a fitting end.